We were having a little bit of trouble before. Here we are with another event. We tried to solve our issue. Probably a mystery of connection, but now Martina is here with us. Welcome, Martina, founder
Hi, Giuseppe. Hi.
of ESG Boutique, expert in sustainability and activist. So let's get back, not from where we left, but from the beginning. So please, Martina, tell us something about you, and then we're going to keep it up with this sustainability and inclusion talk.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy being here. Thanks for this invitation. I'm Martina Rogato. I'm the founder of ESG, Environmental Social Governance Boutique. That is a consultancy firm in Italy supporting companies on achieving sustainable goals. And I'm a human rights activist. So this means that I invest my free time in supporting NGOs and advancing in protecting human rights.
Great. So basically, this is the perfect place for you. Here we are in Ethics for Growth, of course, our monthly live. This is our last live of the year, by the way. So you're
Wow.
our final guest. Yes. Let's say that today we are not going to talk about academic things. We're not going to talk about specifically business things. Of course, sustainability reporting is an amazing subject that we have covered in the past as well. But what I'd like to focus is that, okay, Martina Rogato, founder of ESG Boutique, entrepreneur, sustainability expert, but also activist. So tell us something about the other you, let's say, about your role as an activist and about what subject, of course.
Yeah, let's say that is not really another me, is a strong part of me where I learn a lot and then I transfer in my current job. And at the same time, what I learn every day in my current job became very useful in order to be more effective, impactful in my, let's say, no-profit life. When you are an expert in a specific topic, for example, sustainability and diversity in my job, and then you are in an association focused on diversity and sustainability, it's very easy to transfer knowledge and then draft together with other people projects and initiatives that are impactful and effective. I'm the co-founder of Young Women Network, Italian association focused on young women empowerment, and also I'm the co-founder of Human Rights International Corner, that is a network of professionals focused on business human rights. And so in both of my experience, I pro bono work for them to supporting women empowerment in Young Women Network and human rights related to business conduct in Human Rights International Corner.
So tonight here, as our subject below says, sustainability, inclusion, and activism, there is more beyond Greta Thunberg. Yes, of course, it is just provocative.
I don't know if you can hear me, Giuseppe.
Yeah. Yes. We go beyond climate action, let's say, of course, not beyond Greta Thunberg, because sustainability is much more than climate action. And I'd like your insight about gender gap right now, 2022, maybe, of course, with a focus on the Italian market and the Italian environment at this point, and a comparison between our state of art and eventually the rest of Europe or other situations. But I think that it's very important to address also this topic while talking about sustainability.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, sorry. I'd like to address the topic of gender gap, okay, and gender inclusion, because I think it's very important to address this topic also when talking about sustainability. And I think it's very interconnected with the concept of sustainability. So I would like to have your opinion and your insight, your knowledge about this matter.
Yes, with pleasure. Usually, when we think about sustainability, we associate it more on the environmental sides. But there are three dimensions of sustainability, obviously the environmental one, but also the social and the governance parts and souls of sustainability, and especially the social sustainability soul talks about human rights, working rights, no child labor, good, excellent, respectful working conditions, but also on non-discrimination, and so diversity and inclusion is a very fundamental part of the sustainability path, and is strictly connected with environmental protection, because, for example, climate crisis is never gender neutral, is never soft with women, and we have lots of cases all around the world on the impact, the stronger impact of climate change more on women rather than a man.
That's very interesting. Can you say something more about it, please? It's I think it deserves something more.
Yes, with pleasure. For example, if you have a community of younger that are not allowed of practicing sports, for example, because they are not encouraged, or doing sports for them is forbidden, let's imagine what will happen in case of flooding. Whole just people able to swimming will survive, and if young women are not allowed to practice in sports including swimming, they won't be able to survive in countries where there are lots of discrimination on women and girls do not have equal opportunity. In case of climate crisis, they are always more impacted. And there are lots of studies related to UNEP, the United Nations Environmental Program, on this specific focus.
That's actually it's another perspective, it's another angle that probably few people talk and will think about. So apart of course from climate change, from a matter of labor inclusion, labor inequalities, what's the state of art, let's say starting from Italy, and then eventually we can have a glance on the world if you wish. Okay, we talk a lot about gender inclusion, we talk about gender inequality, but what's the reality right now? Are we improving or not, and how far we are from actual parity?
Well, unfortunately, we are very far from gender equality in Italy. We need something like more than 100 years of life before achieving gender equality. Nor my daughters and so on, nor yours will be able to live in a gender equal world. And in Italy, for example, we are the last after Malta and Greece in terms of young women occupation. And occupation of women and girls is the crucial point for empowering all of them. So Italian situation is not so good on diversity and inclusion. For example, we don't have a law on trans homophobia. I don't know if it's the proper translation from Italian to English. We don't have a law that protects LGBTQ plus people in case of violence and attack, physical or verbal attacks, for example. And the journey is very long and challenging. And also in terms of human rights, United Nations denounced that Italy is suffering lots of human rights abuse in terms of working conditions. Let's think about caporalato, for example.
Yeah, this is a condition that we mentioned sometimes. Actually, we're following a project on that. Caporalato is the sort of slavery conditions that a lot of migrant workers are facing, especially in southern Italy, but also in northern Italy, in the agricultural sector. So of course, this goes a little bit beyond gender inequality, but still it's a matter of great inequality and of marginalization of the social class and a violation of human rights. So this is actually another big issue. Maybe we might have a talk just about that in the future. But I have another question for you, actually, more of on a personal level. As a woman, okay, and as a woman that has achieved a lot and all the things that you have mentioned before, how was it for you to spread the message of sustainability and to be esteemed as a sustainability expert in our working environment?
Could you repeat the last sentence, please?
Yeah, how difficult it was for you to be appreciated and to get your status as a woman sustainability expert in our working environment.
Hoping to get your point, I must say that in terms of gender, I never been object to any discrimination, gladly. But I quit my job 6 years ago to be an independent consultant, so I had the chance of choosing my partners, suppliers, and the companies to support in terms of sustainability. So it was a very good advantage. But in terms of diversity, my, let's say, young age, because just in Italy, millennials are continuing to being considered young, even if we are adults of 40 years old. I would say that I was victim of lots of discrimination because of my age. And so, but also in order to share a good message to all people listening to us, it's very important that we share our content and our skills first, because our competencies show what we are beyond our ages or gender or identity and so on. So we should be very prepared and show our competencies.
I mean, of course, I'm a millennial as well, and I can feel what you say. But do you think there is a difference between a girl millennial and a boy millennial? Do you think there is a difference in credibility?
Not in terms of credibility, but if me and you, we will try to do a recruitment process and same curricula, they will choose you considering the fact I'm 38, I have no child, I have no children, and probably I will get pregnant in a pair of years. So I'm not a good investment because of my potential maternity. So you will be more advantages, Giuseppe.
Yeah, I know it's a very big issue. I can talk freely and happily, and I say that I strongly support the fact that males should have the same paternity leave as women, so that there would be no discrimination on that side, and the potentiality of paternity and maternity would be equally valued from an employer. So I think it's nice to deliver this message that sometimes it's not the fact of protecting, it's the fact of making actually the genders equal to the eyes of the working environment of the employer that can actually create equality. That could seem a little bit counterintuitive. Say, okay, we are giving a right to a man in order to provide more equality. Could be an option, actually. I don't know what you think about it.
Firstly, I'm supporting. I was part of the G20 group advising the government, the G20 government, on women empowerment issues, and we supported, and I supported the unequitable parental leaves for both parents. And I think now it's time to work on cultural changes to create a new generation of equal workers and activists and citizens. In the short time, institutions play a key role on advancing it. So we need mandatory laws to accelerate it.
Yeah, I totally agree on that. And also the part of culture. I mean, you can amend laws, but if the culture does not change on the bottom, it's going to be complicated. And I'm going to conclude our talk with a little bit of an anecdote that I experienced this morning. I'm doing a project in a school. We're doing a program of youth entrepreneurship development in a high school in southern Italy, in Sicily. And I had a group of students that had to present some works. And hardly ever it was a girl presenting. But not only that, when I asked girls to step up and present, they said, let it be done by the men. They're more courageous. They're more prepared. Blah blah. And I'm like, yes, it's impossible to achieve parity if you don't believe in that on a first step. But I understand that depending on it's easy for us to say it eventually because we grew up with a certain background. But I realized that in certain environments, it's not something that is embedded within women themselves before actually getting into men's culture. So how do you think this cultural gap can be actually eliminated?
Starting from schools, firstly. When you have 5-6 years old, you can be able to start a path of inclusion, not later. So we need to teach the teachers to be able to support a new generation on it.
Yeah, and that's gonna be the challenge for also for us as people that are working in this sector. I'm sure that you are doing a lot, and we also in Ethics for Growth try to do our best on this subject. And we are basically at the bottom of our conversation. We try to shrink it a little bit to match up also the delay that we had at the beginning. I just want to thank you, Martina, for being with us. Of course, you will see all the Martina's links, and if you would like to contact her, Martina, you are more than welcome to plug your LinkedIn or your website in the comments of this live, of course. And as usual, I remind you all that you can redeem your tree. You can be part of the Freedom E4G Forest. We issue, thanks to Freedom, that is offering our trees to offset a little bit of footprint that, of course, we don't really do because we are remote. It's very low, a little bit of impact. But in any case, it's always good to plant new trees. So please redeem a tree. Martina, also you. I'm sure that are you going to get your tree? Did you get your tree already?
I have a little forest with Freedom.
Okay, so let's everybody redeem a tree. Thank you very much. Thank you for being with us, and see you next year at this point with the E4G.
With pleasure, with a very good and better internet connection.
Thank you. Bye-bye.